Long ago, when silence was still sacred and the moon's breath carried secrets, the realm of petals tucked its youngest dreamers beneath blooming boughs. Among them, Aya listened, wide-eyed and still, of a game no longer played, of feathers that guided the wind, of Tibereth, the god who taught balance, not war. That night, the grove itself stirred. Her scroll unrolled without touch, revealing a name written in ancient breath glow, her own. She had heard the old stories whispered like lullabies. A hush fell over the grove, and in her lap a feather appeared, white gold. Weightless, whispering with every blink of starlight. Aya did not yet know what it meant, only that the feather called her. Not to war, not to run, but to remember. The wind had chosen, and Tibereth stirred again. This is the second part of the Wind Rider's trial, part 2 of 5 of the saga, the Feather of Tibereth. At dawn, Aya stepped beyond the grove where stone trees leaned toward the sky. The path to the Wind Rider's temple was narrow, swaying, ancient. Her name glowed again, this time on the boards beneath her feet. The trial was not in strength, but stillness. The feather trembled. Aya stilled her breath and the bridge began to sing. Every few decades, one dreamer was summoned, not to fight, but to feel, to listen to wind, weight, and the ghosts who once danced here. Aya walked with feather in hand. Each gust shifted the bridge, tugged at memory. She heard it then, a voice softer than wind. To ride the air, you must become the sky. Aya stepped forward, unafraid. The sky remembered her name, the Feather of Tibereth, part 3 of 5. Beneath the sky altar, hidden beyond time, lay the vault of breath, a chamber sealed for those who could hear the language of wind. Aya's steps echoed like ripples. Around her, ancient sigils shimmered, each one a phrase once shouted by air and now forgotten by mouths. The feather pulsed. The vault stirred, and from the stone rose a wind not of this world, but of memory, breath, and flame. One by one, the echoes began to spin. Dances, moves, stances from Oralis, the sacred sport, played before her in air and light. As she struck a perfect pose from the ritual, a colossal stone gate opened behind her in utter silence. Not all games are won, some are remembered. From The Feather of Tibereth, part 4 of 5. Aya stepped into the arena, where names were once chanted like songs and silence now stood in their place. No one had competed here in centuries. Her next step must be hers alone. The stones remembered. Her feather shimmered. The names, unspoken, unloved, unlost, rose like mist above the sand. Each name carried a move, a moment, a memory, but to remember what was forgotten and give breath to what once danced. She mimicked a motion she'd seen, hands sweeping through air, stance grounded in silence. Aya watched as shadow forms leapt and landed and vanished mid-spin. One shadow broke formation, turning toward Aya. No face, just flowing lines of energy. It bowed. She understood. Aya stepped onto the sands. Not to win, not to perform. The arena applauded, not in sound, but in stillness. When the feather fell. 5. From The Feather of Tibereth, part 5 of 5. Aya stood at the edge of the sky altar, beyond which stars drifted closer than clouds. The arena had gone silent. The feather, still. She had danced the memories, walked the breath path, echoed the names. But the last rite was not to hold the feather, it was to let it go. She opened her hand. The feather rose, not like an arrow, but like a sigh. It shimmered, sang, and scattered into thousands of golden fragments. Each fragment flew to a realm, to a grove, a child, a voice yet unsung. The games would not return, but the remembering had begun. Aya turned, no longer alone. The wind followed, and far below, the names once lost were whispered again, soft as dreams, strong as breath. Thus, the game was never over, only remembered. Epilogue. The grove still breaths. And so the grove stood still, but not silent. Where once Aya dreamed, now others listen. The wind carries her dance in roots and blossom. They say the games will never be played again, but listen closely. Beneath the hush of nightfall, the breath of Tibereth lingers still. One day, a child walks alone. They stop and gaze up at the shimmering feather fragments in the branches. A breeze touches their cheek. One glowing fragment flutters beside them. Not all stories end. Some become wind. Some become names in the leaves. And some, like this one feather, wait for the right moment to fall. One final golden feather falls slowly toward the camera. The camera pans up through the branches into a starlit sky.